past, we've discussed the delicious menus of early to mid-20th century Harlem rent parties that fuse black Southern foods with recent immigrant favorites from the Caribbean, but let's examine the soul food scene of New York more closely. In 1969, Bergdorf Goodman held a charity fashion show called Basic Black for the Harlem Northside Children's Center that was catered with soul food, including chitlins and champagne. Said a chairwoman quoted as Mrs. Charles Taylor, "It's all very in and chic to be eating soul food here at Bergdorf's, but we should remember that this once was the only food poor blacks had, and it didn't used to be all that good." The city's soul food culture was flourishing. In 1962, South Carolina-born Sylvia Woods and her husband Herbert founded Sylvia's in Harlem. The space had formerly been Johnson's Luncheonette, which Sylvia had worked at as a waitress for a number of years before buying it for $20,000. Originally encompassing 8 counter stools and 4 tables, the earliest menu featured breakfast like biscuits and gravy, but more customers and longer hours meant a bigger menu. Described Osaka Endelin, "I knew that the food we only ever had at Thanksgiving and Christmas was available all the time, and that the same faces I saw in the pages of Essence and Ebony magazines on our coffee table could be spotted at Sylvia's, sometimes together." Early fans of the restaurant included James Brown and Roberta Flack, the latter of whom said her favorite meal was grilled chicken liver with tons of grilled onions and scrambled eggs, medium. Oh yeah. A 1979 article by New York Magazine food critic Gail Green brought a new clientele. Wrote Green, despite criticizing the okra and black-eyed peas, "It's an adventure. It's a lark. The grits are a must. They are impeccable, smooth, and full of the nutty hominy flavor. And the ribs, moist and sassy." People flocked to the tiny restaurant, and Sylvia's expanded into next door, eventually being in Spike Lee's Jungle Fever and becoming known for its Sunday gospel brunch, open mic nights, live jazz, and line of soul food products. There were even brief entries into the Atlanta market in the 90s, but its true value was in being a beacon of soul food in New York City. The restaurant re-entered headlines in 2007 when Bill O'Reilly ate there with Al Sharpton and claimed to be shocked that black people and businesses were normal. After dining on the meatloaf special, coconut shrimp, and iced tea, he said, "It was like going into an Italian restaurant in an all-white suburb in the sense of people were sitting there and they were ordering and having fun and there wasn't any kind of craziness at all." Well, duh. Discussions of class and decorum in black restaurants are often tangled in what kind of food is being served. Take another New York one-time hotspot, B. Smith's. The former model B. Smith was a hostess at a restaurant named America in the 80s when she impressed the restaurant group owners so much that they decided to give her her own eatery, which she paired with cookbooks, entertaining guides, and a TV show, earning her the annoying nickname The Black Martha Stewart. Said Otis Graham, "She has given the black upper classes permission to come out of the closet. Everybody in our crowd really watches her show because we live like this. Until now, we felt as though we had to apologize for the fact that we had nice homes and nice things." While Sylvia's was seen as Southern and traditional, B. Smith's restaurants and brand was seen as innovative and classy soul food for middle-class black professionals. Described Jessica B. Harris, "The menu revived old Southern favorites like fried green tomatoes, crab cakes, macaroni and cheese, and mashed sweet potatoes, and it also gave a nod to Caribbean influences with pigeon peas and rice and fried plantain." They were served alongside dishes like curried coconut oysters with a coconut wasabi dip and Swamp Thing, a hot of shrimp, scallops, and crayfish, napped with a Dijon mustard sauce and presented over a bed of greens. A New York Times article encouraged the restaurant's PR, writing about a slew of couples who met their mates over B. Smith's meals. All 3 couples are black, and the place where they met, B. Smith's restaurant at 47th Street and 8th Avenue, has emerged as one of New York City's principal meeting places for black professionals. Since it opened on November 2nd, 1986, 4 black couples who met there have married, including its owner. B. Smith would open 2 more restaurants in Sag Harbor and Washington, D.C.
You see the presidential seal up there?
Today, it's the entrance to B. Smith's restaurant.
Now, ordinary citizens are free to gaze at the beauty and grandeur of this once exclusive space.
When I saw this location, it was like, oh my God, this is a fabulous space.
This room was modeled after the Oval Office.
And the historic space often attracts a prominent crowd.
We get folks from both sides of the aisle, congressmen and senators and presidents from time to time. I won't mention any names, but sometimes the opposite sides are sitting at the same table.
Described one paper. While Smith may have grown up eating collard greens from her own backyard, she now sautés them in olive oil and puts them in Italian frittatas. This reflected a shift in soul food in the 90s, especially in New York. Reported The Times in 1995, something has happened to soul food of late. The dishes are often fancier and sometimes healthier than the meals prepared by grandmas in sweltering southern kitchens or by cooks uptown at Sylvia's. Call it Noveoulle soul. This new wave of southern cooking was converging with efforts to honor pioneers like Edna Lewis. At Alexander Small's Cafe Beulah, described the paper, well-heeled neighborhood residents and luminaries like Naomi Campbell, Quincy Jones, Glenn Close, Bernadette Peters, and Toni Morrison, she's actually invested in the restaurant, sup on black-eyed pea and arugula salad with honey mustard dressing and sautéed chicken livers with peppered turnip greens and barbecue mustard sauce. The paper added, in traditional Southern cooking, collard greens are cooked for at least an hour, sometimes for 2 or 3, but not at Cafe Beulah, where Mr. Small sautés them in olive oil, garlic, and rosemary for a scant 10 minutes. Another Noveoulle soul food restaurant opened by a former model, Toukie's, was health-focused. Toukie Smith, ex-partner of Robert DeNiro, had gained weight in 1987 after the loss of her brother, the designer Willi Smith, to HIV/AIDS. Wrote The Times, imagine barbecued ribs without sugar or salt, or candied sweet potatoes with the barest sprinkle of brown sugar, biscuits without much butter. Added Hilton Owls for The New Yorker. Toukie's menu is one of the most autobiographical we have ever seen. Offerings include My Those Fries, Honey That House Salad, and Black Bottom Pie. Beulah's and Toukie's would be bested by places like Miss Mamie's Spoonbread 2, a continuation of former model Norma Jean Darden's Spoonbread Catering, which got its start supplying the actors and crew of The Cosby Show. A number of other expensive and fusion soul food eateries would pop up in the late 90s, inspiring the much-dreaded storyline in Sex and the City, in which Samantha Jones meets her unicorn black lover at his sister's restaurant and then insults her okra.
Get your little white pussy away from my brother!
Get your big black ass out of my face! Oh, and your okra wasn't all that!
Thank you.